Hi families! I hope you guys are having a great week. We really miss you here at church, and we are so excited that we are coming back soon. Yay! So for some of you, coming back might be a little nerve-wracking. You might be thinking, oh my kids have not been to church in 3 or 4 months. How are they going to react? Because right now, they have been being able to sit in their pajamas, eat their cereal while they're listening to church on TV. And so getting back in these pews is going to be different. And you might be worried about how much your kids are going to sit still or going to listen. And the first thing that I'd like to say to you is that kids learn in different ways. So even if they are being a little fussy, or even if they are being very wiggly, they might still be learning things and listening. The second thing I'd like to say is that here at SOTL, we have had wiggle bags in the back of the sanctuary that families can use during the service, and those have been a blessing to many. Unfortunately, because of COVID-19, we have had to take those away for a very temporary amount of time. We will bring them back as soon as we can, but for right now, for the safety of everyone, we have decided to take them out. In place of those, we are going to be putting out these little activity packets that kids can take and take home. So they don't have to put them back, so only one kid is using them at a time. And they have a little activity booklet with some coloring and other fun activities, and then a couple crayons. But I also understand that this may not be enough for some kids. They may get bored of that very easily. So I decided it would be a fun opportunity to give you another idea to do with your family, and this is to make a family worship bag. So this is a cool idea that you can do with your entire family. In fact, my parents did it with us when we were growing up. So a family worship bag is filled with fun stuff for your kids to use during service. And these are quiet things that can help them engage with the service, but also listen. So I'm going to talk about 2 different worship bags today. The first one is for younger kids, and the second one is going to be for older kids. Because we know that older kids need different things than younger kids, right? All right, so the first one's going to be for younger kids. But the first thing that you're going to need is a bag, and this can be any old bag from home. I decided on a smaller bag. That way I couldn't stuff it with too many things, because you don't want too much. And I also decided to do a drawstring bag because it'd be easy to carry. And because you just fling it over your back, you could even have a kid carry it for you. Bonus! All right. So the first thing that I'm going to put in my bag is a kid's Bible. And this one's pretty big, but you might have a smaller one at home. And this one's really filled with lots of different stories that have great illustrated pages. So it's fun for the kids to page through and look at the stories. And it doesn't really have to have a lot of reading to it. They can look through them themselves. And then this next thing I'm going to put in are some storybooks. So these are fun books. Mine are all different sizes. And the cool part about these is that you can have the kids help you pick these out. So on a Saturday afternoon or evening before bed, you can be like, hey kids, let's pack our worship bag for church tomorrow. And you can have them help you put some things in, which is also cool because it gives them ownership. And they can get excited about it too. So here are some storybooks for super little kids. You can even put some board books in there. And all these books have big pictures, nicely illustrated pictures, but not a ton of words, because you don't want the kids, poking you and saying, Mom, 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 read me this book, read me this book. All right, so I'm gonna put those in my bag. The next thing that's going in my bag is a coloring book. And the nice thing about coloring books is that they're usually thick, so the kids don't need anything else to color on. But you can also print off coloring pages from the internet or other places to put in your bag. And then of course, if you have a coloring book, you need crayons, right? So I have a little baggie of crayons, and I decided to put them in a baggie instead of bring the whole crayon box, because as a parent, you will know that crayon boxes deteriorate pretty quickly. And when they do, the crayons go all over the place. So I decided to put them in a Ziploc bag so that we could zip it really quick and keep the crayons where they're supposed to be. The other thing that I did is I only put 10 to 15 crayons in there. You don't need a ton of crayons, right? Because the more you have, the more there are to lose. So the other thing that I'm putting in my wiggle bag are notepads. So these are, I think this one has lines, but this one doesn't have lines. It doesn't matter. Just some blank paper for your kids to draw on. Or if you don't have a notepad that you'd like the kids to use, you could also just take simple print paper or scrap paper, cut it in half so it's a little bit smaller, and put those in there as well. That's what we do with our wiggle bags here at church, and the kids absolutely love coloring or drawing on blank pieces of paper. So you can put that in as well. And the last thing that I'm going to put in this wiggle bag for younger kids is a stuffed animal. Who doesn't like cuddling stuffed animals and playing with stuffed animals, right? So this is another cool thing that you can let the kids pick out. On Saturday night, you can say, hey, what stuffed animal do you want to bring to church? And you can change it once a week, or you can change it once a month. It doesn't matter. But giving the kids ownership of this bag is exciting too, because then they'll be more excited to use it as well. All right, so that is my younger kids' worship bag. See, it all fit in this bag. Simple, easy. It's not too heavy. Very simple. Other ideas that you could put in this wiggle bag would be action figures that don't make noise. Kids love to just play with those while they're quietly sitting, or Barbies without small pieces. Try to avoid anything with small pieces that might get lost because you don't want to lose anything. And if you have really small kids, like 3 and under, you might consider bringing a no-mess snack. So maybe crackers or Cheerios or something small that doesn't have a ton of mess, but only for the young kids. So the other wiggle bag that I'm going to talk about is for older kids. So you may notice that your 2nd through 4th or 5th grader is still a little antsy in church and cannot just sit and listen the whole time. But you might not want them to be paging through books or things that could be super distracting. So here are a couple ideas for a worship bag for your older kids. So the first thing is colored pencils. If they don't want to use crayons, maybe put a couple colored pencils in there. You might still want to have some blank paper for them, because even if they're doodling or drawing, trust me, they are still listening. Kids can listen while they're drawing. So don't feel bad if you're even like 5th or 6th grader is drawing and listening, because they're still probably picking something up. Another cool thing that we're going to start, we're going to have it at the children's ministry booth, are sermon note pages. And I'm super excited about these because these are really, really cool. So they just have super simple questions. One is draw your family. What's your favorite song that was done today? What's a Bible verse that you heard? What's something you learned? So that kids start picking things up. One page says, this big box is check words that you hear during the service. And then this one, you just trace a word. So they're fun little things that get the kids thinking about what they are listening to, but also keeping them occupied and engaged. The last thing for the older kids' worship bag is a Bible. And it's just a simple, normal Bible, but getting the kids engaged with what they're listening to. So if they hear a Bible passage mentioned in the sermon, or when we're reading the passages during service, help them look them up. Even though they're going to be on the screen or someone's saying them, encourage the kids to look them up and read them themselves. This will get them engaged with what they're hearing, and it will also encourage them to open their Bible and dive into their Bible. And the other thing that I'd like to encourage you with is that sometimes it's super stressful when your kids are asking questions and talking during the service, right? I remember a couple years ago, I had a cousin who was probably around 9 or 10 at the time, and he was asking questions during service. This was a Christmas Eve service. It was during communion, and so we were supposed to be singing. And he's leaning over to me and asking me questions. He's like, Sarah, what is that candle for? Why aren't those candles lit? What is that doing? And I was annoyed. I was frustrated. I was like, I just want to sing and worship. But I realized that this is how he learns. And that's how a lot of kids learn, is by asking questions. So don't be embarrassed or worried if your kids are asking questions and you're answering them during the service. Or even if you don't know the answer to them, if you say, I don't know, let's ask Pastor after service. Encourage your kids to learn. Don't just tell them, shh, be quiet, because that's not encouraging them to learn. So encourage them to learn. Encourage them to ask Pastor questions after service. Pastor loves to get questions from kids. Encourage them to think of different things on the car ride home to talk about. So just encourage your kids to participate in worship. Think of this time as a new start to engaging your entire family in worshiping. And not only worshiping outside of church like we have been at home, but now worshiping as we get back to church. We are so excited to see you all very soon, and I cannot wait to see all your smiling faces. Parents, if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to email me, text me. I'd love to figure out different ways to pray for you as well. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you soon. Bye.